Good morning to all of you. Hello. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Yesterday we had a session 1 and 2 of day 1. Today you'll be having 2 sessions as part of the day 2. I have asked you to do some of the assignments in the last class. This solving assignments is also part of the open short-term course. In order to strengthen you with respect to the learning, you have to do the assignments. At the end of the open short-term course, you have to complete all the assignments, whatever the hands-on exercises being given here, you have to submit. Please note down all the assignments. Most of the assignments are written here. So you are asked to find out the difference between law, act and amendment. It was discussed also. The second assignment is to give example for copyright, trademark, patent, design, these things. You can do these assignments on your own. And throughout the discussion, we are discussing different crimes. You are asked to list any 5 cyber crimes and give examples. Privacy, we discussed it yesterday, for violation of privacy. Organizations like Google will be violating the privacy of many persons or organizations. In that case, how to take an action? Because cyber law is different from country to country. What cyber laws we have in India will be different from the cyber laws of USA and UK. But as you know, internet is not having any border. It is cross-border, borderless. Entire globe is the village in the perspective of the internet. When that is the case, whether we can apply the cyber law of a country or countries involved in the disputes is the question. So you have to think about such questions and try to answer. Take the help of the internet and write the answers. And the answer you can refer to the internet sources and the different judgments, and you can write in your own words and submit the soft copy. Misuse of fingerprint of persons available in social networks. We have seen many politicians of almost all parties. We have seen Narendra Modi ji showing victory symbol, CM Yediyurappa showing the victory symbol. We also show the victory symbol whenever we are in the social networks. We will keep doing like this. Without our knowledge, we are showing our fingerprints into the social networks. So our fingerprints are available in the social networks. Our personal credential is available in the social networks to the public, and public, especially the malicious users, cyber attackers can misuse fingerprints available in the social networks, because on our own we have shown the victory mark and we are responsible for putting our fingerprints into the public domain. Then it is a room for the cyber attackers to encash such opportunities. You have seen, might have listened to different stories, events where our information, that what we put onto the WhatsApp video or something, say I am in Podshadri Betta, for example, or I am in some place in Kerala. So that means we are indirectly saying I am not at home. That has led to many type of incidents. So we have to have some ethics and also common sense when we are talking with respect to many things on the social networks. An employee of XYZ company in Bangalore transfers personal data of employee of ABC company. As I have told you, Section 43 and Section 72 of IT Act talks about data breaches, confidentiality, privacy, these issues. However, India is not having a serious act as serious as UK Data Privacy Act. UK is very serious with respect to the personal information, but in India, maybe because of our inherent nature or the tradition, if somebody asks the house address or asks the address, we will give the address. If somebody asks the phone number of your friend, you will give it to another friend of your friend or relative. Similarly, some other personal information also we may share. If the same thing is done in the UK under Data Privacy Act, you will be behind the bars. Therefore, it is very, very tricky and very critical to take a decision with respect to what information that we have to share, what information we cannot share. So we have to be careful. This question, an employee of XYZ company in Bangalore transfers personal data of employee of ABC company in UK to his friend in UK, discuss on possible violation, makes you think about the personal information disclosure or privacy violation. So please look at that. This is also useful for you to understand the privacy. Please think about such things. And one more assignment question. Analyze the adverse effects of pornography on children. Articulate on impact of it on society and propose the IT solution to this problem. Most of the people, especially in other countries, both husband and wife goes for job, right? When they go for job, children will be at home. It has found that millions of children who are at the age of 8 to 14 are using the internet for different purposes. They involve in looking at porn site. Ultimately, different sites like different social networks are also engaged, are also sending different advertisement to attract the children. So finally, the children will be converted into pedophiles. It will be a stage where they are not having interest in any of the studies, games, physical activities. They won't listen to their parents. Simply, they want to be in front of the internet. This one more digital addiction problem. Having said 30% of youths of India are the assets. If such youths are children's, if they are having internet addictions, then they become useless to the entire country. Therefore, we have to look at the two aspects of the internet addictions here. One, effect of internet addictions such as pornography on children. Another, internet or digital addiction and its effect on the youth. These also need IT solutions. How to bring IT solutions to such problem, how to reduce or curb such problems is the question. Please look at such questions. You are also asked here to see How many youths are there between the age of 16 to 25? In the addiction to internet games such as Blue Whale, you have seen many games such as Blue Whale, PUBG has resulted in a different attack, different type of problems, and it has resulted in a lot of depression among children and youths. So you can go to the different web links available, and also you have seen in PUBG games swimming in the drainage, right? And you have seen some student studying in 10th standard of North Karnataka has killed his father because his father disturbed him when he is playing the PUBG game. So these are some of the consequences. Even youths like you has to think and decide what you have to do, what should be your ethics when you are on the internet. Further, I have also asked you to look at the case studies like niaconsulting.com. Okay, so go to that particular link and of your choice, pick 2 case studies and write in your assignment, especially which are related to the IT Act 2000. One more, indianqanun.org, you can do it, you can go through it. And also identifying SSL certification of a particular website. So I have asked you to go to the website like this, or you can try and you can write, you can prepare the soft copy of the assignment, how to find SSL certification, steps you have to see. Practically you have to do entry of some website and identifying the SSL certification of it and prepare the soft copy of the assignment. urlwide.com, check the online reputation or safety of a website. So friends, I am just giving all these assignments to complete. Also in this niiconsulting.com, you will get the answer for these questions, objectives of the IT legislation in India, what does IT Act 2000 legislation deals with, why did the need for IT Amendment Act 2000 arise, and notable features of IT Act Amendment 2008. Please look at all these things. Okay, so with this, I hope you will complete all these assignments and submit on Saturday. Today, we'll quickly look at the buffer overflow attack and TCP/IP attack. Then I will start the blockchain basics. So an assignment I have given you to identify 5 different cyber types, 5 different attacks: cyber vandalism, data diddling, for example, buffer overflow attack, for example, denial of service attack, for example, distributed denial of service attack, for example, right? All these are different types of attacks. Today, we look at some more attacks, and yesterday we did not discuss the buffer overflow attack. A buffer, as you know, you have studied in data structure in many subjects. As per our understanding, a buffer is a temporary area for data storage, and that data storage area is limited. So a buffer can be defined as a temporary area for data storage which is limited, which is not finite, right? Which is finite, right? So what can be the attack here? If I write a malicious program which either consumes the limited memory allocated for program A. Program B has set of lines of code which consumes memory of the program A. Program A, for its execution, operating system has allocated some memory. That memory is going to be consumed by program B, for example, right? Then what happens? Within the available memory only, the memory is shared by another program. Now, I think of other program which simply starts pumping some data into the buffer of program A. Then program A eventually loses all its memory and it will not be able to continue its program execution, right? So in a buffer overflow attack, extra data sometimes holds specific instructions for actions intended by a hacker or malicious user. So they will be having some extra instructions. The data could trigger a response that damages files, changes data, or allocates the buffer space to some other program. Other program will start using it. Attacker would use a buffer flow overflow exploit to take advantage of a program that is waiting on a user input. So such a program, okay, so I think you have got the idea of a buffer overflow attack, right? So buffer overflow attack, I will explain you with another example. Suppose if I write a program which sends emails, junk emails, okay, junk emails, so your inbox will be full and it overflows and it leads to denial of service attack. So buffer overflow attack may lead to the denial of service attack. Then the question arises, what is a denial of service attack, right? What is a denial of service attack? To explain this, I will take the case of TCP. So the screen is visible. Hello? Hello, Naina? Screen is visible? Subramanya Swarup from EC department. Screen is visible, right? Screen is visible. I want 1 or 2 responses.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. TCP IP protocol, transmission control protocol / internet protocol. You all are aware of these protocols. Transmission control protocol is a transport layer protocol. On transport layer, you have one more protocol called UDP. On internet layer, that is network layer 3, you are having IP protocol. Now, we are talking about possible denial of service attack in case of a TCP. Denial of service attack or distributed denial of service attack is one of the types of attacks in cyber space. You know TCP, three-way handshake protocol. In three-way handshake protocol, what happens is there is a TCP server. Let us say TCP server is capable of handling 1000 clients. If there are 1000 clients, connecting to the TCP server, then TCP server will be able to handle. If there are more than 1000 clients, TCP server having threads of 1000 may not be able to handle. But TCP sync flooding attack is a situation where some of the malicious clients, say there are 5 genuine clients and 5 malicious clients. These 5 malicious clients simply establishes connection with the TCP server, and they never do any data transfer, any transaction, no communication will be done. Simply TCP server establishes all connections with the 5 malicious users. These 5 malicious users may generate several threads so that TCP server is going to reach a stage where it cannot accept more new connections or some more connections. So TCP server reaches a stage where it cannot accept any more connections since it is already full with 1000 different connections. This is a TCP denial of service attack, right? So the description is available. You can go through this description. I explained in a very simple sentences, complete technical sentences like a notes. It is available here. You can go to imperva.com. Okay, there SYN flood attack with respect to TCP/IP is given. So this is important attack. Okay, so now, so I hope you understood the TCP/IP attack. So TCP/IP attack is a denial of service attack and also denial of a service attack. Now the botnet, we will go to the botnet. Yesterday we discussed a botnet. Botnet are malicious programs. A bot master in somewhere in the world, some part of the world can have the bot executors, and they will execute some of the commands issued by the bot master. And we have discussed yesterday, botnets is the word generated using the 2 important keywords, robots, right? So robots and the network, botnets. Okay, now we look at the botnet architecture. So it's very important to understand the botnet architecture. So you can take this architecture. There is a bot master, CNC command control executor. As per the instruction of the bot master, CNC will execute, and these are called bots. These bots are compromised computers of different networks. So bot master, command controller, executor and bots all are from different networks. There may be more than 1 or 2 computers part of the network. So all these will compromise, and they can pull up a powerful computing capacity, and they can execute the instructions whatever they want. As we have discussed yesterday, there are different cases of botnets. Botnets can be used to automatically sell our shares. For example, Bitcoin mining may be done using the botnets, and botnets may steal the bandwidth and release the bandwidth without our knowledge. Therefore, during every time, I'm thinking of giving a project to find the available bandwidth, which is a very challenging project. So most of the students, they struggle and they'll give different answers, and they will be successful only to some extent because available bandwidth calculation is very, very challenging. Suppose if you have taken some leased line, say 100 Mbps, and when we use the effective use may be 50 Mbps, and there may be some malicious programs which like botnets which are stealing the bandwidth, and you will not be able to measure. Thinking all the factors of cybersecurity and other factors of the network, we have to calculate the bandwidth, which is a challenging project. So students who are interested in that, we can take and we can have a separate discussion in depth for that purpose. So that's one of the innovative projects that you can take up. So this is the architecture of the botnet. So I would like to run this video which explains you botnet and IoT devices. So at the end of this video, I may ask you some questions. So please watch this video.
What is a botnet? When IoT devices attack. A botnet is a collection of internet-connected devices that an attacker has compromised. Botnets act as a force multiplier for individual attackers, cyber criminal groups, and nation-states looking to disrupt or break into their targets' systems. Commonly used in distributed denial of service, or DDoS attacks, botnets can also take advantage of their collective computing power to send large volumes of spam, steal credentials at scale, or spy on people and organizations. Malicious actors build botnets by infecting connected devices with malware and then managing them using a command and control server. Once an attacker has compromised a device on a specific network, all the vulnerable devices on that network are at risk of being infected. A botnet attack can be devastating. In 2016, the Mirai botnet shut down a large portion of the internet, including Twitter, Netflix, CNN, and other major sites, as well as major Russian banks and the entire country of Liberia. Mirai took advantage of unsecured Internet of Things devices, such as security cameras, installing malware that then attacked the dying servers that route internet traffic. Why we can't stop botnets. The challenges to shutting botnets down include the widespread availability and ongoing purchases of insecure devices, the near impossibility of simply locking infected machines out of the internet, and difficulty tracking down and prosecuting the botnet creators. When consumers go into a store to buy a security camera or other connected device, they look at features, they look for recognizable brands, and most importantly, they look at the price. Security is rarely a top concern. How to prevent botnet attacks. The Council to Secure the Digital Economy, in cooperation with the Information Technology Industrial Council, US Telecom, and other organizations, recently released a comprehensive guide to defending enterprises against botnets. Here are the top 4 recommendations. 1. Update. Botnets use unpatched vulnerabilities to spread from machine to machine so that they can cause maximum damage in an enterprise. The first line of defense should be to keep all systems updated. 2. Lock down access. The guide recommends that enterprises deploy multi-factor and risk-based authentication, least privilege, and other best practices for access controls. 3. Don't go it alone. The anti-bot guide recommends several areas in which enterprises can benefit by looking to external partners for help. For example, there are many channels in which enterprises can share threat information, such as industry groups and vendor-sponsored platforms. 4. Deepen your defenses. It's no longer enough to secure the perimeter or endpoint devices. You need multiple defensive systems. Isolating IoT devices on a separate part of the network is one recommended approach.
Have you ever noticed how some people just light up?
Hello? Friends, come to the chat box. Come to the chat box. Please write, this botnet shown in the video has made attack on what type of devices? Please write in your chat box. The botnet shown in this video has made an attack on what type of devices? Hello? You are there? Please answer. Answer the question written here on what devices this botnet shown in video has made attack. On what devices? Mention any one best practice. To avoid botnets. Hello? As for this, there are 41 people in the open short-term course, but I am not finding good responses today, quick responses today. Fine. Now some responses are coming. Muhammad Habib ISC says updating. Correct, that's one best practice, but also mention what type of devices this botnet has made an attack. Update, correct. Lockdown access, fine. Using defenders, fine. I don't know about using a proxy server to avoid the distributed denial of service attack. Even I want to explore on that. But the first question, I'm not getting answer for the first question. On what devices the video of botnet shown just now has made an attack? What type of devices? IoT devices, right? Answer is IoT devices. So attack on IoT devices causes many kind of problems, right? Suppose if I take healthcare, today we are using the IoT devices to even to proactively monitor the patient health conditions using sensors and IoT devices. So if IoT devices are subjected to different cyber attacks, then patient who is a primary stakeholder in the healthcare will be in problem. Think of a patient who is undergoing some heart surgery. Suppose his records containing his medical history is blocked by some botnet. Then patient may not, the doctor surgeon may not be able to continue the operation. So he may think of shifting the patient to some other nearby hospital, and they'll be struggling in saving the life of the patient. See, the cyber attacks can cause a very severe problem, especially if the cyber attacks are made on medical health records, and hospitals are not having the complete or to moderate extent the idea of how to handle the cyber security. Education for the employees required, cyber ethics to be followed. First, education regarding the cyber ethics is required. They should be educated with respect to the different kinds of tools that they can use as a first aid tools. And apart from investing onto the medical infrastructure, IT infrastructure, especially cyber security infrastructure, which is also costly, is to be implemented. So HIPAA rule of US and high-tech rules and DISHA rules of India has to be followed while implementing the medical electronic health records, which is costly. So government support also may be required in order to implement the cyber security to the fullest extent in the area of medical health records. So please watch this video available in this YouTube. Okay, if I will at the end of the class, I will give this slide, go through this YouTube address. I will be having some more questions with respect to this, and please try to understand the architecture of the botnet. Now, before starting the basics of the blockchain architecture, let us start the blockchain architecture. And after the first session, before starting the second session, I will show one more video, and then I will ask some more questions. So today we will come to the basics of blockchain architecture. Hello? Is it visible? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Naina is there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning. You are there, right?
Yes, sir. I'm there.
Okay, visible, right? We will start the blockchain concepts. I am not only talking to the Naina, I am talking to all participants of the open short-term course. So now we are starting the basics of the blockchain concepts. Since we have to discuss in depth some more concepts and in depth the use cases of blockchain, basics of the blockchains are very, very important. Today we are in a situation where we cannot go without the blockchain. So since there are plenty of cyber security problems, people are thinking in one way or the other to solve these problems. Now blockchain is available as of now, and people have started redefining many many problems using the blockchain. Okay. Basics of blockchain technology. So this set of video, sorry, set of PPT is very detailed one. Patiently listen to the basics of the blockchain technology, you will understand. Then I will go to the use cases of blockchain technology. After this, I am having some more information to be shared with respect to the blockchain itself. Then we will demonstrate use case of the blockchain technology, how we can implement blockchain technology. We will see after the discussion of these basic concepts. Okay. So in this basics of blockchain technology, we will try to understand what is blockchain, what is not a blockchain, what is a blockchain architecture, how blockchain transaction works, why do we need blockchain, blockchain different versions, blockchain different variants, blockchain use cases, important real life use cases of the blockchain. What's Bitcoin? Because it has started with Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, at least we should know some ABC of that, which is most popular. Applications of the blockchain. Blockchain and shared databases are one and the same. We have to answer. What are the different myths about blockchain? And like every other technology has some limitation, even blockchain has got limitations too. We'll see the limitations of blockchain technology. Very fast, for everybody, the question arises is, what is blockchain? Here I am assuming that no experts are available in the blockchain, and if experts available also, all they need the basic knowledge of the blockchain. So I am putting myself a question, what is blockchain? So in a simple one sentence, a blockchain is a chain of blocks. A blockchain can be defined as a chain of blocks that contains information. Technique is intended to timestamp digital documents so that it is not possible to backdate them or tamper them. Okay? Tamper them. The purpose of the blockchain is to solve the double records problems without the need of a central server. That is the idea of a blockchain. We quite frequently use the Google Docs. In Google Docs, we share a document. All the people with whom we have shared the document can make the changes in the document, and updated one, latest changes will be automatically saved, and it is always visible to all the users. But there is no constance algorithm working here. That means validity of the changes is not going to be checked by anybody here. All the users will be simply entering the data that they need to enter. Okay. The blockchain is used for the secure transfer of items like money, property, contracts, etc., without requiring a third party intermediary like a bank or government. If I want to send a money to some person outside the country, we have to execute a different process altogether, and bank or government will be in between. But we want to avoid the third party involvement using the blockchain. Even strange users, if they follow blockchain rules and implement, they can work like a trustworthy entity. Once a data is recorded inside a blockchain, it is very difficult to change it. That's why we say records in the blockchains are immutable. Right? Records in the blockchain is immutable. Blockchain is like any other software protocol, like SMTP, for example, for email. However, blockchain could not be run without the internet. Internet is must and should. It is also called meta technology as it affects other technology. It's comprised of several pieces: a database, software application, some connected computers, etc. So blockchain technology is also referred to as meta technology as it affects other technologies. It's comprised of several pieces of database, software application, and connected computers. Sometimes the term used for Bitcoin or blockchain or the Ethereum blockchain, and sometimes it is other virtual currencies or digital tokens. However, most of them are talking about distributed ledger. Okay. We are talking about distributed ledger. Any blockchain actually talks about the distributed ledger. What is not a blockchain? Bitcoin is not, okay? Blockchain is not a Bitcoin. Blockchain is not a Bitcoin, but it is the technology behind the Bitcoin. So please try to understand this, able to differentiate. Bitcoin works based on the blockchain technology. Blockchain is not Bitcoin. Okay? Bitcoin is the digital token and blockchain is the ledger to keep track of who owns the digital tokens. So a concept of digital token is coming here. Bitcoin is the digital token and the blockchain is the ledger to keep track of who owns the digital token. You cannot have Bitcoin without blockchain, but you can have blockchain without Bitcoin. So blockchain has come up very first for the Bitcoin currency only. That's why people will tend to exchange the term Bitcoin with the blockchain. But please remember, you cannot have Bitcoin without blockchain, but you can have blockchain without Bitcoin. It means that you can implement blockchain for any of your application. So you can have application specific blockchains. Now let us come to the blockchain architecture. Let us study the blockchain architecture by looking at this block diagram. So blockchain, as we have said, is the chain of blocks that contains data or information, and data or information contained in every block depends on the type of application for which you are implementing the blockchain. A first block is block 1, second block is block 2, block 3, and so on up to block n. The first block is called Genesis block as shown here. The first block is called Genesis block. What is a block then? A blockchain is a chain of blocks which contains information, as I have told you already. The data which is stored inside a block depends on the type of blockchain. For example, a Bitcoin block contains information about sender, receiver, number of Bitcoins to be transferred. So that information will be there in the block, right? In the block. So let's see this Bitcoin block. This is a Bitcoin block. This contains information about the sender. So Sam is the sender, receiver, Peter is the receiver, number of Bitcoins to be transferred is 200. Okay, the first block in the chain is called Genesis block. Each new block in the chain is linked to the previous block. You have seen here, each new block. Block 1 was the first block. Block 2 is the new block that will be linked to block 1. Okay. Understanding SHA-256 hash. What is this hash? Why hash is coming? Yesterday also I have asked you a question. How to maintain the integrity of a data? So many of you said MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256, right? Some answers has come. So today in this blockchain, we are looking at the SHA-256. Some people say blockchain is not at all a new technology. Okay, like some people comment on the cloud computing. Cloud computing is not a new technology. It is a distributed one, which is an extension of networks. Similar to that, people of different perspective will talk in a different way. So simply take it what you wanted to take. Now, the understanding of SHA-256 hash. So hash is used here. A block also uses a hash. It can be understood as a fingerprint, which is unique to each block. So each block information is hashed. A block also has a hash. It can be understood as a fingerprint, which is unique to each block. It identifies a block and all of its content, and it is always unique. It identifies a block and all of its contents, and it's always unique, just like a fingerprint. So once a block is created, any change inside the block will cause has to change. If you just say, let us say some information exists in the block, if you just add a space, if you just add a comma, if you just add a special character like a hash or some character, some space is added into the block, hash will change like anything. The hash value changes like anything. Hash remains as unique. So now it is very high time to understand what is a hash. Okay, so I'll come to that. Cryptographic hash function. So friends, please recall, before understanding the hash function, better to understand features of the hash functions. Typical features of the hash functions are: a hash function will be having fixed length output. Hash function converts data of arbitrary length to a fixed length. This process is often referred to as hashing the data. In general, the hash is much smaller than the input data, hence hash functions are sometimes called compression functions. Since a hash is smaller representation of a larger data, it is referred to as digest. Hash functions with n-bit output is referred to as n-bit hash function. Popular hash functions generates values between 160 to 512 bits. These are some of the features of the hash functions. We have to look at very important property of the hash function, which makes, because of this property, hash functions are extensively used in many of the security solutions, including the blockchain. That is, the property, this property, pre-image resistance. This property means that it should be computationally hard to reverse a hash function. That means if a hash function h produced a hash value z, then it should be a difficult process to find any input value x that hashes to z. This property against an attacker who only has a hash value and is trying to find the input. So a typical hash function, even though you know the hash, input cannot be identified. So attacker cannot find the input, that is in a typical sense. But we have seen that there are some algorithms which are valuable and cryptanalyst will find the input for the given hash in some cases, maybe after struggling so much, but that is called hash attack on the hash algorithm. So if you are generating a hash functions for which you cannot have the hash attack, then such a function will be given a very high value in the field of security. This is another area where you can work on some problem. To understand the basics of this, I am requesting all of you to go to mobilefish.com. Friends, go to mobilefish.com. So go to this. I am just putting the chat box. Go to this link. Hello?
Today we have discussed in the morning of some of the comments, and if time permits, probably